엄마 주세요. 엄마 주세요.
As I've been introduced, my name is Twambo. If we can go to my slide, I bring you greetings from the church in Wakanda. That is your brothers and sisters, your family in the church in Zambia. You know, one of the first things I asked my roommate was where the nearest churches around us. You know, he mentioned a few, and among those he highlighted having been invited to the Pretoria ICOC a few weeks ago. A few weeks before me arriving there. But he tried to discourage me saying, man, you know, you don't want to go to that church. Because look, I was trying to get to the girls. But they wouldn't give me a chance because they kept saying, you're not a brother, so we kind of... And you... Hey, man. Thankfully, you know, that didn't dissuade me. And, you know, long story short, I got the number of the brother who had invited him, and I called up this brother. So, you know, the fish doesn't come any easier, right? I'm like, hey, you know, my roommate tells me you took him to church. Can I come to church with you on Sunday? He was delighted, of course. But also, like, man, I'm having a visitor, and he told me, you know, and he gave me a little church, and that was very exciting, as you can imagine. You know, I studied the Bible, became part of the Pretoria church, and, you know, and was very involved and was very active with the local and wider campus ministries during my university years. You know, the year I finished studying, basically, I was studying a course called Mechatronic Engineering. It's into robotics, if you know anything about it. Okay. I started doing my internship in Pretoria. And Pretoria Church went through a difficult time because at that time, the evangelist who was leading the church had just lost his wife to cancer. And they had 2 little boys. And so he took a sabbatical to be able to just deal with the loss and with his children. Wow. So another evangelist and his wife came to Pretoria. You know, their names Temba and Zamalinda Pulu. So they came to lead the church, and while I was there, I got to know them. But you know, then I was working, and while I was working, I decided, man, I'm going to serve them. And as a single guy, I would work, but every Monday, I would babysit for them, so they could be able to go on their date nights. So singles, we can serve them. You know, so then I guess Cornelius saw my commitment and my availability to be able to serve, and God put it on his heart to ask me if I'd consider taking up the 1-year challenge. You know, when he started the conversation, I had just gone through a period with my company. You know, as you can imagine, I'm Zambian, I'm foreign, so they had taken me on, and to be able to give me work, they had to justify to the work department why they should hire me instead of a local to be able to do the job that they were, offering me. But they went through that process. They were convinced, man, this is the guy we want, and I got my work permit, man. And, I was excited because, as you can imagine, as every single person, you're finally leaving campus, you're on the dream, you're making money, it's this freedom, born to be wild kind of thing. But it wasn't just that, in Africa, parents, most of our parents think there's only 3 main careers. You're either an engineer, you're either a lawyer, or a doctor. And now, obviously, I'm the firstborn. I'm the engineer now. I'm making money. I'm kind of living. So this was good for the family. But in the midst of all this, I could see that God was on my side. Because, in the engineering field, it can be very long hours. And those long hours affect you, especially because in my time, I was the one in charge of the technical department. So the equipment needed to be fixed so that the company could be able to run operations the next day. But even then, I spoke to my boss in the first week of working and saying, you know what, there's 2 things about me that you need to understand. I will not work on Sunday. And I will not work on a week that there's midweek. if there's a crisis, I'll go to church, and then I'll come back and I'll fix whatever the crisis is. But I'm not missing time with God. And thank God, he respected that. He respected that and we were in agreement. And so they decided, man, you're doing great in ministry. We want to offer you a full-time position in ministry. But at that time, I was in this relationship that, man, I was head over heels with this sister. Brothers, you can relate, amen? But the sister I was head over heels with, she was going back to the U.S. to be able to further her studies on her master's. And so when we were discussing, they were telling me, well, if you think this is the sister that you're going to end up marrying with, then it doesn't make sense for you to take up the job here if you're going to go and pursue her because she's going to the U.S. to do her master's. So you need to think about this. So I sat down and I spoke to many people about, man, I need advice on this stuff. There's this, I love ministry, but man, I love this relationship too. I don't know which one to choose. And I saw lots of advice, and at the end of it all, I turned down the opportunity to full-time ministry because I wanted to give the relationship a chance. And long story short, the relationship didn't work out as I planned. Now I had found myself in a situation where I had no job. I still had to maintain my bills. I was living in South Africa in a foreign land. So then I decided, let me head back home to Zambia while I figure out where to next. This was the most difficult of this exciting adventure I've been on. Because as you can imagine, now I'm having to face my family. Wow. Especially my dad, who was not impressed. I need your pain, bro. At that moment, I just felt like, God, where are you? Have I made the wrong decisions? How can I answer the call and yet end up in the fires as I am right now? Wow. But you see, while in Zambia, in the midst of all my depression, I decided I would hold on to God no matter what I was going through. Praying like Moses, saying, God, this is your glory at stake here. People are watching my life, and man, if this goes down, it's your glory at stake. And saw me and saw how available I was, and just, this guy is here, he's helping out. His name is Steve Mukenya, he leads the church in Gwinnett now. And after a while, he decided to put me into full-time ministry there and said, hey, I could give you something to do since you have all this time. When we, like Paul, say with him, as he says in Philippians 4 verse 13, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Let's stand up and be counted. Amen.